Juventus willing to sell him for around about 10 million euros, approximately £8.5 million this summer. He played just 10 times since returning to the Italian club on a free transfer in the summer. Danny, what has happened to this talented, multifaceted midfield player who bossed the World Cup in 2018?
Well, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I would anticipate a mixture of things. So physically, he's obviously struggled with injuries, which never helps you because you're not on the pitch and you're not contributing. Mentally, he's probably been through the mill. Irrelevant of the facade that some players put on, it takes its toll. Continually listening to people criticising you, judging you, and poking you, really. So, and then, of course, there's a debate, really, around where the motivation lies moving forward to somebody who's so wealthy, had so much success. And if you don't have the motivation and desire to get back to the level you know you're capable, then that's going to also affect your output. So I think it's a mixture of things. I wouldn't personally... I'll validate what I'm going to say first by saying that his talent is unquestionable. Some of the things he can do on a football pitch is just what I love to watch. Vision, some of his passing, some of his skill set. He's got everything he needs to be whatever he wanted to be. We've seen the best of him. But he, for me, would be a liability moving forward because he doesn't seem to be able to stay on the pitch. And that is it for me. I know you could do your research on his personality, and a lot of people say he's a good guy. A lot of other lads speak really well about him. So maybe he's not as troublesome as people make out. But I certainly wouldn't be investing a huge chunk of my wages, my budget as a football club on his wages. If you talk about Gab's son about Villa, I wouldn't want to risk, because you'd have to pay him. I mean, you'd have to be paying him probably more than anyone else at Villa, wouldn't you? As an example. Yeah. I don't think he's going to go there anyway, but I wouldn't be risking that much money on a player who's never on the pitch.
Why couldn't he do a job in the Premier League?
Well, he's not fit.
Danny's right. It's not about talent. It never has been about talent with Paul Pogba. It's always been about mentality and application, because you're right, that World Cup, he was absolutely outstanding, but those performances were in short supply at Manchester United. And the question you have to ask yourself, why are Juventus willing to cut ties with him? If he's that good a player, why are they willing to let him leave for £8 million?
Well, it's not just the 8 million, Cookie, as well, it's the wage bill.
Yeah. And that probably is their main motivator. But if they felt like Paul Pogba...
He earns $8 million a year, 37 days of a hamstring injury, 38 days of tearing an adductor muscle, 26 days of the groin strain, 79 days with a thigh muscle strain last year. That's the reason why they let him go.
I question how much Paul Pogba wants to be that top-level player anymore. I think, Danny's right. He's achieved what he wanted to achieve, probably, in terms of the trophies that he's won. He's obviously a very wealthy man. Does he have the drive and determination to get back to the level? I'm not sure he does. Well, I certainly wouldn't have him back at Manchester United.
He's rejected an offer, apparently, from a Saudi club that's going to pay him £100 million over 3 years. So money, obviously, clearly isn't his main motivation. If that was the case, he would go and sign a contract there. He probably does want to play football and prove that he can get back to full fitness. I mean, he did produce some particularly impressive performances over the course of his career, not only in that World Cup in Russia, but he was a 4-time Serie A winner. If you go back to Manchester United, he was there at a time where the club were in a bit of a funk. Let's be completely clear.
His creativity in terms of his numbers at United wasn't bad, assists and all that.
No, but he was meant to be the driving force,
was.
And he wasn't. You can hide behind the fact he played in a bad team, but top players, Harry Kane carried Tottenham last year.
Well, when they won the 2017 Europa League final, he scored the winning goal, played in all 14 games. He definitely carried them through during the match, which was to decide the title at Manchester City, when at half-time City were 2-0 up and they were getting the fireworks ready to celebrate the title.
Well, that was him and Alexis Sanchez,
and they ended up winning the game 3-2.
He had a point to prove, though, didn't he? I've been left on the bench, and that kind of backs up what I'm saying.
He might have a point to prove now.
A motivated Pogba is a great player, but he's not motivated.
Well, the proof will be in the pudding, and I would love, actually, to see him move somewhere where all he's thinking about is, I want to be the main man, I want to play, and you can build this team around. I'd love to see that, because it's so refreshing.
He's 30 years of age.
Which is nothing.
Exactly.
I had 5 good years in the Prem. 30 to 35 was probably my strongest in terms of where I was at mentally, being able to understand what I could do and what not. I mean, he needs to find a home where he's loved.
I was going to say he needs to be loved,
but the mountain isn't too big. And what I mean by that is you put him in a team where he's the main man, the best player, if you like, in terms of everything he's done and his talent, and he's expected to carry them. I don't see that. I think he's going to be better suited going into a team with other high-quality players where he can ease his way in and be part of something successful. But which club is going to take a risk on him based on his recent 2 seasons?
Do you think that you contributed to his downfall by not loving him enough?
I don't think he felt loved at Manchester United.
You
He certainly
didn't love
didn't
him,
feel
did you?
loved by Jose Mourinho.
Or you?
No, I didn't, because I
What did
expected
you
a
say
lot more
about him
from
earlier
Paul
on the
Pogba.
breakfast show, which was a bit disrespectful, wasn't it? What did you say?
Remind me.
You said he wouldn't get into a...
What I said
did you
was...
say?
I never actually said that on
What
air.
did you say?
I said that
What
I
did
wouldn't
you
put him
say?
on my pub team, let alone my
exactly.
Premier League team.
How disrespectful is that?
I think I would not judge his personality too much because I don't know, and I've not got anyone close enough to him to give me definitive answers on that. But I do think with players who are injured, my personal belief, players who are injured a hell of a lot over a period of a long time have a weak mentality.
Yeah, and that's what I'd agree
I
with that.
genuinely believe that because I've seen it. Because if you have a big massive injury like a cruciate, I get it, you're out, and then you have a niggle or two coming back. But you're reading out a list there of some things that doesn't sound right. So some players become comfortable with being injured and take the easy option because they're sick of the pressure at high. I've seen it, and I don't like that weak mentality. I've been around players who would play. I mean, groin strain is a very generic thing, but thigh strain, all those things. It's come on. You can't be out that long with all. I mean, you need to. Do you know what? I'll tell you a quick story. But years ago, and everyone was really shocked by it. It was in Houllier, very early tenure of Gerard Houllier. He banned a few players from the treatment room. So I'll give you context. Treatment room at the training ground, Melwood, was a place where injured players go. But it was also a place players would venture into.
Bit socially.
I'll have a rub. Oh, yeah, that's a bit sore. Like find yourself in there a
Physio's
lot.
a good guy. Fitness coach is fun.
We're in there. People were in there. And a couple of players had been injured, then training, and injured, then training. And it was 3 of them, I think it was, or maybe 4. One morning we had a meeting and he went, you are banned. You're banned, you're banned, and you're banned. I don't want to see you in that treatment room. You're not allowed in. And everyone was like, whoa. And it started ringing true with me. Some players are comfortable in there, and I didn't like being in there because it made me think, oh, they'll find something here. It's just they'll find something wrong with me. And I think the amount of injuries he's had over a period of time suggests he's either not bothered, which I wouldn't want to accuse him of, but I think there's a bit of a weak mentality there.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.